Richard, it is so good to have you back. And of course, our listener, it's so good to have you back. It is fantastic to meet up again. Thank you for joining us for the next episode, for the current episode of Mindful Matters. It is lovely to have you. And I'm Oresztesz, your anxiety coach. I am here where you can find more is Less Anxiety Today, the YouTube channel and the website. Visit us and find out more about how you can reduce the anxiety that may be holding you back from things. And of course, I'm here with my co-host, Richard. Richard, a fantastic coach of coaches, great friend, and just a lovely person to hang out with. Richard, good to have you.
Hey, thank you, Oresztesz. Look, I'm super thrilled to be here in our kind of last podcast before Christmas this year, 2022, building up, and yeah, really excited to be here. I love it. If anyone wants to get in contact to find a little bit more about the coaching I do, the mindfulness I do, the kind of stuff I do, that's all in the comments below. But let's dive on in, because I'm feeling like a child around the Christmas tree now, looking ahead, wondering what treats are in store.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I realized it. I just had to stop you right before we pressed record because you were already giving some gems, and I said, hey, our listeners have to hear this. Please, you were describing a very inspiring. What inspired me about what you started to describe is a very special kind of appreciation of what has happened, what you have achieved, what has been created by your attention and by you engaging with the world. What are the successes? What are the things that you appreciate about what has happened throughout the year?
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and this basically, so it's a real simple start to a kind of like process of looking ahead, shall we say, to how you want things to be next year. But it's always struck me that I was in such a rush and most of my clients were in such a rush to kind of set more goals, whereas actually just appreciating what was already working, what was going well, what had been the most fulfilling was really worthwhile doing. Because the simple fact of the matter is, if you look back over the last year and you take time to say pick 10 successes, whatever that means for you, the things, the moments, the highlights, could be small things, could be that personal things for you that bring the most joy, then what happens at the end of that process is you end up feeling really good with the combined cumulative effect of doing that. And so what I've been doing the last sort of couple of weeks is I took the time to look over 10 successes from this year and then go back 6 years. So I've now built up a set of 60, and I'm taking many of my students and people I mentor through that process as well. And they really love it, because you know what? People gloss over their wins. They gloss over their successes. And like most of my successes, honestly, the things that brought me most joy were helping other people, spending time with friends and family. And it's a really good opportunity now to take some time to note those down so you can dwell on them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And why this is so important? It's a good thing to understand. As you mentioned, Richard, just taking time to actually slow down and appreciate our success. It is so important, and it's so easily overlooked. People way too often are only looking at the carrot dangling in front of them, or they fear the stick behind them. But it's very hard to take, because our brain, as we have mentioned previously, especially I think in the episode about scandalous news and how did we call it? I forget. Controversial, I think. Yeah,
Yep.
I think that was the word we used. Our brain pays attention because its biggest goal is for us to live. So it really pays extra attention to danger. And I had a very interesting experience of that over the weekend. But the idea is that we have a tendency to look at more of, what threatens that goal in the future, what threatens me in the present. It's not so much that we take a look at the things that have already created a safer future for us, the things that are working. It's even just sitting down and appreciating that you have a roof over your head. That is not something that everybody has. The fact that you can sit down and listen to us talk means that you have some extra time available that is not 100% dedicated to survival only. You have internet, you have some kind of a device where you can watch this on or listen to. And I know that these things might sound trivial, but you have done a ton of things right to make this happen. It already means that you are at a certain level of success.
Yep.
And you of course you can shoot for more. That just being able to have a device and listen to a podcast, that may not, be the epitome of success, but it's certainly worth appreciating. Just
Agreed.
there is one thing that when I teach, I create, well, not, I created a version of a seminar that based on a book that I very, very much enjoy, that helps parents teach their children. And it's just been something that that's a pet peeve of mine, because most of the coaching many times is affected by not creating the right kind of childhood and then fixing that. You get the inclination of teaching current parents, like, how to avoid this, which is, I'm just reducing work for future therapists. So I apologize for that. But basically, when I created this, the different version or the daily preparation of the different sections of that seminar, one of the things that I teach is how to encourage some kind of a behavior in children. Now, the way you do that, just to give you a very quick overview, it is describing the behavior and maybe naming it as something positive. Like, you describe what happened, you name it as something positive, and either in the naming or you either tie these two together, you add some kind of an appreciation. Mm-hmm. So it sounds, this is the theory. In practice, it sounds like, oh, you jumped really high. That's very nice. That would be something like what you would say. Or, oh, I saw you get out there. Yeah, that's very nice to be a curious person. That's it. You only describe the behavior that you think has some kind of a positive intention and appreciate it. Either name it or just appreciate it. Now, what I always have to remind the parents is that this tool is so powerful that they will experience the following. They will go home, they will use the formula that they have learned and they practiced in my class, and they're going to apply it, and they're going to have an excess of that behavior of whatever is the first nice thing that they notice. The kid is just going to do it over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it happens. And I warn the parents all the time. I warn them again. I finished a session warning them about just how powerful this tool is. And then next week they come back and they say, oh my God, I know you told me, but because any behavior that they show that the children understand what it is that they did, they know how to replicate it because they already did it, obviously, and they are told that this is good, this is positive, the most important people in their lives find it something positive, they are going to repeat it to no end. They will just so much enjoy this kind of positive reinforcement that it's insane. And there is no way in which I can describe it to the parents enough that they don't mess it up for the next time. And then they see something that they kind of like, and then by the end of the day, it's going to really get on their nerves because the kid is just going to do that one thing over and over and over again. And this, I believe, is a really good show of just how insanely important positive reinforcement is. In fact, it might just be the most powerful way of even reaching that carrot. It might just be looking at all the things that you have done already to reach the point where you're at. Notice the things that took you the most in the direction of the carrot and just appreciate them. Reflect on them, notice them, and send yourself some positive feedback that this is something you appreciate, this is something you're doing good, and possibly you would be very happy if you had even more of it happen.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. And I can see how powerful it is. So thank you for sharing that, Oresztesz. That's really cool. And don't be too surprised, by the way. Oh, by the way, that was really, really brilliant. And that probably means that you're open and receptive to new ways of doing things and getting even better. So don't be too surprised, Oresztesz, if you start doing much more of that superb behavior, especially bearing in mind what I'm just about to mention, because I feel myself already, I feel like I can give myself some appreciation and specifically to other people around me, because one of the things we know from mindfulness is exactly that. If you can train yourself to notice a behavior and then describe it with sensory rich, clear description, no matter whether it's positive or negative, if it's something that you want to change, well, just observing it will help it change an inner pattern. But describing the specifics of something external that somebody's doing well is just enormous for them. You see, the thing is, I've noticed as a coach, as a hypnotist, there are at least 3 things that my clients want to sort of succeed. There are many more, but 1, you could call it expectation. 2 is like a feeling of competence, and 3 is a sense of hope. There's some other kind of things in there as well, but by and large, if you expect that you can do something, if you feel competent, that it is possible within your remit, and you have some kind of little spark of hope that change is possible, then you're in a good shape. Now, here's the thing. I have a friend, and a few months ago, some business things changed for him, and had to close down. He was selling a business on, and he was starting from scratch. And he had a goal to set some stuff to build it up again, or to build a new business. And within maybe 2 months, he got back his initial investment. So he invested £150,000. After 2 months, he's got that back in sales. Anything from now, it's moving towards profit. Probably in the next 3 or 4 months, there'll be £500,000 there, which will go in, and that will be expanded out. That's like one stream of business, which he did after basically many cups of tea, a few days lying in bed, just thinking, reflecting, deciding, looking around, a little bit of checking, a little bit of Googling. But it's very, very interesting. And I noticed this one pattern very, very strongly in him, which is this. It is the absence of doubt. He has such certainty, not that what he's doing is going to necessarily work, not that it's going to be, he's not, there won't be lots of mistakes, but he expects that it is possible to make some improvement and move in this area, even though he didn't have any of the specifics. He just knew that it was possible, and he had the absence of doubt. And what he did was all based from that. And this speaks to the appreciation that you were talking about, Oresztesz, because if you can go back, this is the genius, if you go back and look at the things that are working for you, you already have all the evidence you need that you are competent, that you clearly, the things that you were hopeful for clearly came to pass. You have all the evidence of competence. You must have had a certain level of expectation, at least that there was the smallest possibility that those things could happen. So as you start to build those together and you start to look for the deeper patterns within that, what unites these? How do I feel when I think about it? What happens is you're starting from the place with the least amount of friction when you start to look ahead. And this is so, so important, because you're likely to, exactly like you say with your wonderful idea of like, how high can you jump? Or like, oh, look at that jump you did, or look at that drawing you just did. Good for you. When you can train yourself to do that on your patterns in kind and appreciative way, then you are honing your own sense of expectation that you're going to bring going forward.
Absolutely. And again, we have mentioned this a number of times already, but notice the things that you're good at. You are doing this naturally. You probably don't realize that you're doing that because it's so fast, it's so quick. But usually, if you are getting better at something, let's say you like to just fiddle with a guitar, you enjoy that, or you like to doodle, you like to draw. Now, every single time that you make a mistake, if you like the thing that you're doing, you just don't really care too much about that. But every time that it does sound like a part of the song that you're trying to copy, or every time that you're drawing, part of it looks nice, or you kind of like how it turns out, then you might just put that away in the back of your mind, but you are already naturally noticing what are the things that you're doing that are actually in the direction where you're going. Because how do I know this? If you're doing it the wrong way, then it's something that you don't enjoy. Like, for example, I have made a decision in my mind that I'm not good at dancing. So, and I haven't fixed this because it's just not a big enough part of my life. But if, on the very rare occasions where I even end up in a situation where dancing might be something, I will take a look at the things that I'm not good at. I will have a tendency to fall into, oh, I made a mistake. Oh, I missed a beat here. My attention is not in the right place. So naturally, what this creates is that, well, I do know how to fix it. So whenever the situation arises, but I do have to specifically train my brain to enter this state of, I don't care. I don't care because, first of all, I usually get inspired by other people that are just, in reality are probably at a 50% of whatever tiny skill I have with dancing and rhythm, and they're completely out of sync. They are just stepping from side to side and they don't care. So that's always my reminder. Hey, okay, you know what? Let's just focus on whatever, enjoying the situation, enjoying the moment. Now, if you enjoy something though, if you naturally keep coming back to it, it means that you are already naturally noticing. You are already having some kind of an appreciation to when things work out. When you think about going out to the dance floor, for example, you reflect back naturally on, hey, yeah, I enjoy this. I know it's going to be fun. I know I'm going to have a good time. The same thing with drawing, with music, with reading, with writing some poetry, with writing anything down. Anything that you have a tendency to go back to. Richard, you can confirm or deny this. With writing, for example, I know that you do a lot of that. With running, possibly. Things that you do notice, you do reflect on your success, right? So to break this down, because we have been talking a lot of theory. So I think Richard's idea of going back and just noticing 10 successes this year and really lower your bar to what success means. It doesn't have to be, success is not only, I don't know, last year I finished my psychology studies, which it's pretty late for them to not have called after a year yet. But they told me in December they were going to give me the diploma finally. It takes a lot of bureaucracy here. But that's not just, the level of success that you're allowed to note as a success. Anything, like if this is your level of expectation of what success counts as a success, put it somewhere here, right? Yeah. And if you notice that the 10 come like too easy to you, then you can raise it up a little bit. If you end up with 50 successes, then you're doing it right, right? So
yeah. That is beautiful, and I would iterate that. What I've done is I kind of, in my mind, I kind of reframed it as, shall we say, the things that brought the most satisfaction, fulfillment, and sense of joy. And so as I kind of did that, and in fact, they were the kind of themes that I noticed as I went through. But going camping, wild camping with my son, a trip wild camping with a friend of mine, where we went over the summer and we visited 4 waterfalls and went swimming in with them. My birthday, getting my whole family together. These were great experiences, the sort of the should we say the landmarks of the year that bring great joy. One quick way you can do this, if you use anything like Google Photos or Apple Photos, is to scroll through and look through some of those experiences and memories that when you see them, they bring back a nice strong feeling. And just note those down, because those are really good places to start from. And like you said, Oresztesz, look, I love writing, all right? Let me tell you this, I'll tell you two things. One, all the joyous experiences in my life involve other people, right? This podcast would not be the same with me standing here at all right? So being here and having the two of us, there's like, there's a saying that 1 + 1 = 11, in that there's a joy that comes from that. And the second thing is, with writing, it's exactly like you say. I mean, the having no doubt. In fact, for me, writing is just expressing what I enjoy, and writing is just expressing what I enjoy, and it's fun. So all I do, for me, it's the same as writing an email. I write back with purpose, and I write with fun, and I write enthusiastically. And so that's it. I feel enthusiastic, and I write. And so I don't judge. Now, I imagine that the people who struggle with that have added extra things on, like the perceived judgment of other people, or whether it's grammatical or comparing it to other people. I've never done that. I don't think to add that. I just, let's have some fun. Let's enjoy this. And I think that's why I can keep it very, very simple. But I think it's so important to look at, you can think of these as your kind of personal successes. These are the moments of joy that you have in your life, but you should feel really, really good about them. And by all means, throw one in there, like getting a degree, getting a diploma, getting a promotion. Absolutely. But take time to feel really good about it and appreciate all the effort that you put in to get that.
Wonderful. And yes, so step 1, look for 10 successes throughout the year. Step 2, if you know a number of them stick out, those are probably the biggest successes. If you're struggling to find the next one, lower your bar. Lower your bar of what you count for success. And as Richard mentions, look at personal satisfaction as well. Look at moments where you are having a good time, where you are enjoying the experience. Anything where you make yourself feel good, but genuinely feeling good, not just momentarily, in a way that you can appreciate, those are definitely successes. They bring out the best in you. They bring out the version of you that will create more of those moments. So definitely notice those. And just keep lowering the bar until you find at least 10. Then make sure the next step I would suggest is that you don't make this a mundane exercise of, hey, I need to write 10 words or phrases on a piece of paper. Slow down. Just really take a look at the things that you find on your list and consider them. Who did you have to be to make that event or that moment of life happen, and happen in the way that it made it to your list? What are the things that you did to make that happen? How did you do them? What was everything that had to be there even before you could do all these things? The way you have always been, or the even your past contributions to that moment being able to become what it happened to be this time around. And then notice, even other people involved in it. Like, how come they responded? How come they enjoyed that with you? If it's your boss, if it's your employees, if it's your family members, like, how come? What needed to be there for them? And again, you might find it falling back on you. Like, how have you treated them? How have you been present in their life? What kind of a relationship you have built up? So just really take your time with your list. Make sure that you actually do enjoy and do appreciate everything that you have added for that list to become what it is.
Oh, beautiful. And I really love the idea of appreciating the process of doing of allowing that to come forth, because oftentimes people will launch into a personal development kind of thing with a trying to achieve it or get it done mentality. And this is much more kind of Zen. This is like the difference between just trying to get the washing up done and appreciating the feeling of the soap suds, the sensations and pressure of the plates and things, that, you know, the way that feels, smelling the sensations and the aroma in the room. It's really important, because just the process of training yourself to bring that little bit more of attention and appreciation to this will energize everything else that you're doing. And remember, this is not for anyone's judgment or contemplation. There is no one right way of doing it. It's like, what are the things that bring you personal fulfillment and satisfaction, that should bring a smile to your face individually and collectively, make you light up with it's like joining up the dots on a dot to dot and seeing the beautiful image there and feeling a real sense of personal inner joy, that this is someone who you are. There is who you are is being the person who can do this. And when you're being this way, well, then you'll tend to get more of that behavior, much like Oresztesz, you were saying, with your wonderful approach that you teach to parents and children.
Yes, it is only natural that whatever works. I mean, think about it. We know this. We naturally respond to these responses. That's why I really, really appreciate the way children respond to things, because we can learn so much about just how insanely capable, creative, motivated, easy to inspire, and very, very effective at learning and at adapting children are. I think we can always just look back at how naturally we develop, how easily we learn languages. It's insane how kids will learn languages. I might have mentioned this. I knew a kid that spoke 5 languages when I met him when he was 6. And it's just really powerful to look back on how they learn. So this is definitely one of the things that every single one of us has done. When we are learning to speak, we notice what are the words, what are the ways of pronouncing the words, what are the sounds that our system can generate that gets the actual response that we want. That's an external positive feedback. When we are one step closer to walking, I made it all the way from the couch to the table. It was like 3 steps for me, probably a half step for the adults, but hey, yeah, this is what I want to have happen. I made it, I did it. You don't probably spell it out as a child, but the process that we're trying to recreate here is based on just how efficient that is, how motivating that is, and how powerful that is. I mean, if we could just recapture, we could just turn on that ease with which children choose to do things. If we could just ignore all of the nonsense that is not needed for it, that we would be just extremely, extremely capable, powerful, and everybody would just be their best version. So I think we do have a lot to learn and a lot to remember of how we make success happen. I'm sorry.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think that's a beautiful way to, I think, thought for our kind of listeners to kind of like be mulling over, you know, that space of, you know, just an expectation, a sense of playfulness. You know, children have that. They're competent, they expect things, they don't, and they're open to that. They're open to the playfulness of that. So the more we can bring that kind of, just some of those qualities of playfulness to this, you know, this is not about future kudos from other people, or or whatever. This is about aligning our inner terrain, our values, the way we think and feel inside, so that as we start to move forward, we have more of a sense of calm, peace, self-acceptance, and appreciation for us, appreciation for the people around us, and appreciation for the things that are already working very, very well, so that we can simply allow more of that to come into more areas.
Beautiful, Richard. Thank you. And I think we seem to be also entering, as we're talking about this, we seem to be entering this kind of appreciative, calm down, slow down mood, which is something that I would not like to break. So I think this might just be a perfect place to end today's podcast. Just as a reminder, appreciate the things that you have done, that you have created, that you have added to the world, that has created success for you. And remember to redefine success in the way that is actually something that you get to appreciate and enjoy this way. So look back on the things that you have done this year, enjoy and appreciate the successes. And I hope we have also added a little bit to this. I mean, if you are really struggling to make even number 10 on your list, make sure that you putting an effort into developing yourself. Just coming back to this podcast, it means that you care enough about developing yourself to the extent that you choose to listen to something that will help you get your mind to a better mood, to have a better point of view and appreciate the things in a better way, improving yourself. So thank you for sticking around. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for staying till the end. And hope to see you next week, where we have another special episode where we will start looking into the future as well, which will be will be the right time to do that. Richard?
Cheers. Thank you very much. Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. Bye-bye, everyone.
Take care.